So I think it's important that we speak to some of the guys that work behind the scenes at Goodwood, and Mr. Chris Wilson is in the fortunate position that he owns most of the coolest classic race bikes that I've ever been anywhere near, seen, touched and ridden. I rode a Sheen bike here a few years ago that was one of yours that you, that you were very kind as to let me have a wobble up the hill on.
Not a problem.
I think it's good to speak to guys like you and find out what Goodwood means to you, rather than just speaking to racers with hangovers and finding out what it's like to do wheelies and have no race stress. Yeah. For you, this must be a pretty stressful day.
I still get the hangover. I try my best, you know, you have to keep your head up. But the whole event is just, I'm proud to be part of what goes on here. I'm not a member of Goodwood, as it were, but to be invited here, you know you're doing something right, or you're doing something special. And you think, well, a lot of people say to me it's a car event that sometimes has bikes, and you got to only look at what the impact Valentino's had.
Yeah.
And the jump in sales. Lord March has said specifically to me, you know, not name dropping.
Yeah.
Bikes are really important. I was lucky enough to get a prize here a couple of years ago, and when he shook my hand, he took the time to say, you know, it really matters to us.
Bikes matter, yeah.
It really does. You know, he said, you bikers really are good. And you know, when you get that sort of feeling, I'm a proud biker. You know, I'm out and I'm proud about it. I think this is fantastic. You just got to push it. Bikes have had in the past not a brilliant image, but they are cool nowadays.
Yeah. So talk us through.
That's the bit that worries me.
Well, the bit that's cool now are the bikes that you've had for years. So talk us through some of the bikes that you've bought here today.
I bought the one that most people seem to be taking pictures of. It's not the one you might have thought. It's the Kenny Roberts Yamaha.
Really?
Everyone's just gone mad, and I've had two people, car collectors, come up and say, I remember that bike. I remember that. Do you want to sell it?
And the answer's generally always no?
The answer's always no. Always no. I didn't buy them as an investment. I didn't rebuild them so that I can make money out of it. I did it because I just love having it. I get to speak to guys like Kenny Roberts.
Yeah.
Who's treating me as an equal. Now, you've got to understand, for someone 25 years ago that was used to standing at the fence looking over at people like that, you've got to think that's just
pretty trick.
What have I done in the past?
Yeah.
That? You know it.
Yeah.
I'm a normal guy that's just struck really lucky.
And the great thing that I can remember about riding your bikes is, obviously you love them and that passion comes across all the time, but you're not afraid to let people hang them out a little bit, rev them out a little bit and enjoy them.
No. My bikes, since I've been collecting, my bikes have been down the road about 4 or 5 times, once with me on, sadly.
Which one did you crash?
G.
The 594?
Yeah.
Oh.
589.
Oh, okay.
589. That's the one. That's another one I've got here today.
Yeah.
I crashed it. I don't know how. I don't know what happened. I mean, genuinely, it was just 2 miles an hour. My pride was damaged more. But the way I look at it, you're not going to go and purposely hurt yourself. And if it happens, I'm worried about you, obviously. But the main thing is to enjoy what we do and share what we do. I mean, what we do, you've got a great job. You enjoy doing it. I love doing my job, but I come here and it's like I've been transported into a different world. I mean, you come behind the wall here, and it's the whole thing. It's like switches off. It's a joy.
So
a real joy.
So what will you be in? What will you be up to in 2 days' time? Back to your day job. Back to the normal.
Back to fixing aeroplanes and doing stuff like that. You know,
and dreaming about motorbikes.
And always trying to find the next best thing to get hold of. I'm trying to get a deal done with Kenny Roberts to get another one of his bikes, one of the Medinas, the very, very first one. And he's just been so cool about it. It's such a real gentleman. I mean, it's like in real life. My wife says just because a guy can ride a bike fast doesn't mean to say he's a nice bloke.
Yeah.
And she's 100% right.
Yeah.
Kenny's one of those blokes that I think he may never, ever trust you, or he'll look at you and say, You're in.
Yeah.
He's been very, very, very helpful and accommodating and accepting of me. And of course, when a few other guys introduce me to him as, Chris is all right, he's fine, they make up their own mind. But that's the key. It's just fantastic. It's wonderful. So
why don't you give the investors of tomorrow a tip on what race bikes that they should be looking at now? Would you buy a H2R, the new Kawasaki?
I've never, ever bought a bike on the basis
of course.
I genuinely, I bought it because, one, I can afford it. Sometimes I haven't been able to afford it, but I've got it anyway. I think race bikes, the race replicas are fantastic. Look at that. You've got the two of them here at the moment.
Yeah.
You've got Honda, you've got the Kawasaki.
Yeah.
And you think, there's got to be, and there's already a Ducati that's been out.
Yeah, yeah.
And a friend of my son's has bought one of the Ducati, and he's you know, a very wealthy young man, very happy in his life. He loves his bike, and they're awesome bikes. Are they going to go up in value? I don't know. I really, really don't know. Proper race bikes with history and
Heritage
works bikes, beat everything by a million miles. You got. It doesn't make a difference if you want a race. That'll help. But you know, like my the Sheen bike, that won one race.
Yeah.
It happened to have been Barry Sheen's first 500 GB, but it won one race. The KR
You didn't tell me that before, right? Yeah.
The KR 500 never won a Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Won loads of British champions. Everyone adores it. Everyone drives it, just adores it.
Yeah.
Kajiva never won a race.
Yeah.
So it's not about that. When you look at it, when I bought these bikes, people said, it's an old race bike. Why do you want that? Well, because it's Barry Sheen.
Because it's an old race bike.
It's an old race bike, and it's a works bike. George Beale, the dealer, I had 8 TZ500s all lined up in a nice row, and he said, oh, it's all very well, my lad, but one factory bike comes along, it's going to be better than all those put together. And he was right. So I sold all of the production stuff, I'm going to say production, customer bikes, and bought factory bikes. It's the best advice I've had. George was really good with me. He just said, you're obviously doing as much work as you need to get that much money invested, so you need to have the right machine. Works bikes, if someone wants to do it, fine, works bikes, but only when I've had all that I want. Yeah. Because I want the cheap ones.
Well, I think there's probably been the best part of 100,000 people here this weekend who probably don't know who you are when they see you walking around. They don't know how much you add to events like this. So I think on behalf of everybody, it's only fair that I say thanks very much for bringing your bikes.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Cheers.